A common question that I get asked is, how did I learn to invest in the stock market? So today I'm going to share that with you. How's it going, guys? Ryan here, and today I'm talking about how I learned to invest in the stock market and a bit of my journey and the things that I went through in order to get where I am currently. But before we get into that, guys, as always, please remember to like this video. It helps me out so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest content, and leave any comments, questions, or queries down below in the comments section. And please make sure you do share your own experiences of how you learn to invest in the stock market. So guys, without further ado, how did I learn to invest in the stock market? And my story is actually one where I'm pretty fortunate. I didn't just sort of, I suppose, stumble onto the stock market itself. I had friends and colleagues who were already investing in the stock market, so I got a bit of insight and guidance from them. But it really starts going back 4, 5, 6 years ago, where I was introduced to the stock market, and I chucked in $500 to a company, and that is for me now quite a small amount, and I didn't really see much return on that. I got straight into the speculative space, in particular the lithium space, and I started off with $500 in the stock market. I had absolutely no idea of what I was doing. I had learned nothing at that stage, and I was just purely taking the advice of a friend who had made a decent bit of money off the stock market at this point. This is what really, I suppose, sparked my interest in the first place for what is the stock market, what is investing, all these different things. Otherwise, before that point, I really hadn't looked into it or had much interest. But effectively what this did was allow me to go, I want to learn a bit more about what the stock market is, how it works, all those sort of things. And I purely started YouTubing. So I'd go onto YouTube and I'd type things in like, how does the stock market work? What are stocks? What are bonds? All those sorts of things that you don't know from the get-go. Lots of these things aren't obvious at the time when you do start investing. So I'd highly recommend for anyone who is not savvy when it comes to the stock market in general, educate yourself. There's so much free content out there, in particular on YouTube, which is very, very accessible. And the beauty of it is that it is free. So my first spot was, other than talking to my friends, YouTube. And that's where I started my independent education when it came to investing in stocks. And in particular, what I was looking at more than anything else was actually day trading. So I wasn't looking at investing from a long-term point of view. I was looking at day trading in the sense of technical analysis. You know, you look at your charts, you look at the price action that's occurring, you learn the patterns, and then you buy into a stock based on a strategy that you've put in place, and you sell it when the stock has gone up a bit. This included things like pip trading, so scalping for instance, or I suppose longer term strategies where you've got a flag forming and then it breaks out above the resistance point. Those were the sort of things that I was looking at back then. And that's really what sparked my interest, because when I was looking into these things, I understood I could actually make a living from this potentially, because all the day traders that you see, one of the most prominent ones on social media such as YouTube is probably Timothy Sykes. You see he makes a living from purely day trading and that sort of thing. Or originally when he first started day trading, that's what he was doing. He made a living through day trading. Now he sells his courses and all that sort of stuff, but he's got so much free content out there and he just helps you learn and that sort of thing. So have a look at YouTube. That is probably my number one recommendation. Second recommendation is websites, blogs, all those sorts of things. They are a fantastic way to educate yourself. You've got websites which you'll probably see popping up more often than not, such as Investopedia and that sort of thing. They help you understand the basic concepts, and they have quite factual definitions of different things on the stock market. They provide different examples. They provide diagrams, all these sorts of things. You want to really engage with this sort of information because understanding the complexities of the stock market is half the battle. And what you'll quickly come to learn is the stock market is not to do with the numbers, it's actually very psychological. So you want to focus on the psychology of the stock market. Why do people buy certain stocks? Why do people sell certain stocks? The technical side, the fundamental side, these sorts of things. So as you're progressing, go onto websites on the internet that talk about the definitions of different types of concepts when it comes to investing. Even just the definitions of words. There's so many different words when you're talking about investing and they can be very confusing. One of my key tips would be learn the jargon. Learn what different things stand for. You're going to see a lot of acronyms and that sort of thing out there. Make sure you understand what the different acronyms are, because if you do start going onto forums or you are watching those YouTube videos, people will be throwing acronyms at you left, right and center. And if you don't know what those acronyms stand for, then you're not going to understand what people are trying to educate you about. So that is a fundamental tip that I give anyone who's new. Learn the acronyms, learn the definitions of various words, terms, that sort of thing when it comes to investing in the stock market. So as I was saying, I got into it because my friends, then that sparked my interest to start doing my own research on YouTube and that sort of thing. Then I started shifting onto forums, as I mentioned. And the forums were great in that I got access to see a lot more stocks, I suppose. Really, prior to that, I was just speaking to my friends and my colleagues and what they were investing in. But accessing forums then let me see the other people's opinions of the stocks I was investing in, as well as all the other stocks on the stock market. And I could see what people were talking about all the time, what was going up, what was going down, and what was sort of, I suppose, the hot topics at the time. And when I started investing, the hottest thing on the market was lithium. So that's all everyone was talking about, and this is back in 2016, 2017 sort of period when lithium was going absolutely insane. I was getting on the forums and I was learning, and I got into, I suppose, the stock market at a good time, and in particular the lithium market where it was bullish. So basically you throw your money at any lithium stock at that time, you make money. It literally did not matter what one you invested in, they all went up. And then, as a lot of you would know, they all came crashing down. So that in itself was a huge lesson for me, as I have, as I've mentioned in the past, lost quite a bit of money being burnt from those sorts of things. But at those initial stages, I started genuinely making some pretty good cash on the side, and that was awesome. I was stoked about it. I realized, yeah, this is definitely something that I can do, and I'm looking at those people like Tim Sykes who are day traders and that sort of thing. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Buy a stock, 2 weeks later sell it, I've made a few grand. That's awesome. I loved that sort of thing at the time. But over time I realized that wasn't for me. And the reason it wasn't for me was because I still work a full-time job. I don't have the time or the capacity to day trade. So as a result, over time, my shift of focus has been towards longer term investing. And as a result, I started reading books. And books are probably one of the best sources of knowledge when it comes to investing. And I've spoken about a few books before. Definitely get into books. So something for people who don't really know too much about finance or the stock market or bank accounts and just general stuff. Barefoot Investor, great book for entry-level people. One of the ones I speak about is Bulls, Bears and a Croupier. Fantastic book, and it really focuses on the fundamental analysis aspects which are crucial to long-term investing. Understanding the fundamentals will be crucial to your success, especially where I invest in now, which is the micro-cap space. So we've got YouTube videos, we've got websites, you've got forums, and you've got other sort of things such as books, traditional sort of sources of knowledge. Now the fifth thing I got onto, and I only got into this, as you guys would know, probably about a year and a half ago, I got onto Twitter. My account had been active for a lot longer than that, but social media, and what this then enabled me to do was start really connecting with people. And this has been one of the most beneficial things that I've done, oddly enough. I typically thought social media was crap and everyone always just posted about the random stuff, what they're having for breakfast, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. That's when, though, I discovered FinTwit, or financial Twitter. And in particular, the niche within that is the stock market section, and Australian stocks in particular. And wow, what a community I fell into by absolute sheer chance, because Twitter was one of the platforms that I didn't really use too much at all. But being able to engage with some of the most successful investors in Australia has been absolutely incredible and fundamental to my success. So I cannot rave enough about investing and learning about investing through Twitter. Now, that's not to say don't fall for a pump and dump and you'll lose money because you're following just Twitter pumps and that sort of thing. Absolutely not. Use Twitter as a useful tool for investing when it comes to speaking to other investors and understanding their experiences, their opinions, and you'll tend to find that you'll find individuals who can genuinely provide value. And that's what I've found, and I message those people privately and we have good constructive conversations. So that's the best way to, I suppose, utilize social media, and a great way that I've learned. So there you go, guys. That's 5 ways that I learned to invest in the stock market. But number 6 is the most crucial, and it just came down to experience. And experience for me was the biggest lesson that I've ever learned. I've lost money, I've made a lot of money, both ways. Investing on the stock market, the only way you're going to learn how it all works is through purely doing it. That is going to be the best way for you to learn. You can use all the tools and everything, but until you actually start investing and then you become involved in the psychological aspect of the stock market, which determines whether you buy, which determines whether you sell, that's when you genuinely start learning what is good, what is bad, what occurs when certain announcements happen, how the market reacts. That is the best source of knowledge. So I highly encourage anyone, just start putting some money aside, just start investing. That is the best way to do it. Obviously, do your research beforehand on what you're investing in, but the best way to learn about something is by doing it. So the best way to learn about investing is by literally investing. So that is my main recommendation for you guys. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave down below any lessons that you've learned about investing on the stock market. And like this video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe for more content. And with that, guys, have an awesome day. See you next time. Cheers.